So it has been 2 weeks since I purchased the Omega Swatch MoonSwatch Speedmaster, and I have been wearing it non-stop since I actually purchased the watch. I wanted to get in a long-term review and give you guys a little bit of insight on the quality of this watch. So I'm going to talk about, is it worth the price? Is it worth the $260? Is it a well-made watch? And is it a keeper in your collection? Is this something that you're actually going to use on a daily basis? Is this something that you can wear on a daily basis? Is it any good at all? Let's get into it. So, as I mentioned in the intro, I've been wearing this watch for over 2 weeks straight, and there are some major flaws with this watch. I'm going to go through each one of those major flaws, and then I'm going to talk about some of the charm that this watch has and the reason why you would actually purchase it. So right off the bat, something that I mentioned immediately in my previous video that I did about both MoonSwatches that I've had on this channel, the Mission to Mars and the Mission to Saturn. The Mission to Saturn is the one that I own, and I've been wearing it non-stop for 2 weeks. And I noticed immediately on my Mission to Saturn that the chronograph was misaligned, and I immediately noticed that same misalignment on the Mission to Mars that I had in for review. So that has not changed. It constantly is misaligned. It does align once in a while, but once I restart the chronograph, it is always misaligned to the right on this watch, on the watch that I have on my wrist today, which is, of course, the Mission to Saturn. So that is something to note. Not very good quality control on these watches, and it has really nothing to do with quality control. I say that because I'm so programmed from Seiko. This does align sometimes and it doesn't align other times. So there's something wrong with the alignment of the actual movement and that hand. So that's an issue. I don't think Swatch have even addressed that. A lot of people have mentioned that there are misalignments, but I think I'm one of the first ones in a video to actually show that misalignment, and I'll do close-ups of it so you could see it's always there. When it's not, if I restart that chronograph, it happens again. So I have scratches. It actually came with scratches on that plastic crystal. Not only did mine, but that Mission to Mars also had scratches on that crystal. Very strange that they come from the factory with scratches on the crystal. I think that's because of mishandling. The watches are actually being handled pretty roughly by the people at Swatch, and they are getting scratched in the process, and they're still being sold to you and me. Not a big deal because these are plastic crystals and they can be buffed out. Now, I've seen a bunch of videos where people are saying they cannot be buffed out. I will show you guys how I actually buff this out. I use a Cape Cod cloth and it works. And I'm going to throw video up of that actually happening. This is currently not scratched. When I purchased it, it was scratched. It is no longer scratched because I used a Cape Cod cloth. I did not use Polywatch. However, I would imagine that Polywatch will work. You just have to go at it for a little bit longer than you normally would with a Hexalite. Hexalites are thicker. This is a thinner acrylic crystal, so therefore it has to be a little bit harder than your Hexalite. So your Hexalite crystal would actually be able to take a polish easier than this crystal. This crystal is plastic, so you're going to need to use a little bit more elbow grease. Next, let's talk about price. The price on this watch, on the Omega MoonSwatch, doesn't matter which version you're getting, is $260. Now, Swatch sell other bioceramic watches on their website for $140. So I think the actual price for this watch is somewhere in between those two prices. I think $260 is a little bit high for what you're actually getting. However, $140 is a very good price for a watch that's made out of ceramic and plastic. So it feels like a plastic watch. They're saying it's a bioceramic. It's made out of 3/4 ceramic and 1/4 plastic or castor oil. It really does feel like plastic, like 100% plastic, but it does add durability. So a lot of people are complaining about the lightness of this watch, 29 grams. However, if you really think about it, it is more durable because there is actual ceramic in the case. It is light like plastic, but it does have some durability, added durability because of that ceramic. Now, that being said, $140 I think is a really good price. I think this watch should be priced around that $200 range since it is a collaboration within the Swatch group, so it's not really costing them that much money to do this collaboration. They have made a really cool case. They already had that case design. Not a lot of effort had to go into this sort of planning and detailing of this watch. However, I think that $260 is a good price. I think $200 would be the right price for this watch. And eventually, when they are widely available, I think they'll resell for around $200. Eventually, I think that's the price where they will actually start reselling if they continually make this. If this is not a limited run, it's not a limited edition, and they haven't said it's a limited run, but if these are a limited run, then eventually these will be more expensive than they are now and continue to be more expensive into the future. Now, is this a daily wearing watch? No. This watch will not hold up to daily wear. You're going to need to change the strap. You're going to have to be very careful about the crystal, because if you are someone like me who will get a little bit upset if your crystal is scratched, you're going to want to constantly polish that crystal, and eventually it will thin down to the point where you are not going to be able to use this watch anymore. So number one. Number two, the strap on this watch is very uncomfortable. It will need to be changed immediately. If you are planning on wearing this on a daily basis, the strap is horrible, and I've already noticed through wearing this strap there are creases in here. It automatically starts to fade a little bit. The Speedmaster logo on here is going to start scratching off. Unfortunately, it will not look good over time. If you want to keep that strap in good condition, you're going to have to put it in a closet somewhere and put a different strap on this watch. Now, it does have a 20mm lug width, so you can change this for a leather strap or an Omega Speedmaster strap. If you want to buy one, it'll actually cost more than the entire watch, but I think a lot of people are actually doing that. So is it a daily wear? The answer for me is no. I don't think this is a daily wear. However, where can it fit into someone's collection? I think this is a great starter watch for someone who's starting collecting and they want an Omega Speedmaster. They cannot afford one. This is an awesome watch to get your hands on. Unfortunately, the way that it's going right now, people are paying way overpriced for these watches, and I highly recommend you do not do that, because it's definitely not worth those prices. It's worth that $260, a better price at $200, as I mentioned. It's not the quality that you would get from any other luxury watch. This is not a luxury watch. It's just a fun watch. I hesitate to use the word toy. It's not cheaply made, but it is an inexpensive watch that is not something that you're going to wear every day, and it will hold up to your everyday average person's wear. Unfortunately, that is the case, but it does fit into my collection because I do not wear the same watch every single day. For someone like me collecting watches, this is something fun. It's a toy to me, and I really do enjoy it. I think it's a fun watch, and I think it fits into a lot of people's collections in that manner. And it's a stepping stone for others. That's really it. One last thing to note, also I found that the watch is a little bit loud in certain situations. I drive back and forth to New York for work. It takes me about an hour and a half. There's a lot of silence in the car while I'm driving along, and this watch is pretty loud. The construction of the watch is obviously not very expensive. You have a plastic crystal, you have essentially a plastic case. The movement is loud, so you hear that tick, and it really does sound very loud. I'll throw in some audio of actual audio of this watch so you guys could hear it. That is something that isn't a big deal, but I just wanted to bring that up. It's not something that's going to be a deal breaker. It's loud. There are a lot of loud watches out there. It's just the construction of this watch makes it a little bit louder than most watches that are made out of metal. Just something to note. Anyway, that's really it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. This is sort of a semi-long-term review. I've only had the watch for a little over 2 weeks. I've been wearing it every single day, as I mentioned, but it's not a long-term review. The long-term review for this watch will come much later on. I'm going to do that for this watch, but these are the quirks and the issues that I've noticed over this 2-week period. And that's really it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon if you click those links and buy anything. It helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.